Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I and a few guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by Michelle Walters, who is a voracious imagination and AI advocate. She is a clinical hypnotherapist, if I said that right, but she basically writes and speaks on the themes of subconsciousness, personal growth. And so we're going to be talking to her about everything that she's up to and what a voracious imagination advocate is. So Michelle, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm delighted to be here, Curtis. Thank you for having me today.
That was a mouthful. Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Be happy to. So, I'm a California girl. I've spent most of my life in California very happily. I grew up here. I went to business school and worked in digital marketing for about 25 years. It was a great time to be in that field, starting in the late 90s up until, well, now I'm just doing digital marketing, I guess, in some different ways. I loved it. I loved the opportunity to be creative and persuasive and to work with teams and to make things happen. And it was a great career. The only thing about it was that it was a little bit roller coastery. I was going up and down all the time with new jobs, new clients, new whatever. So the pandemic rolls around, and the love of my life got sick and ultimately passed away. I had trained on the side as a hypnotherapist and thought I might do that. I sold a house. I lost the job I had working for a bank that didn't want to be in business in the US if we were having a pandemic. And it was a time where I could sort of walk through a different open door. And so that's what I decided to do. About 4 years ago, I hung up a shingle and started seeing clients doing hypnotherapy and taking clients into a state of hypnosis in order to help them transform and change their habits or practices or beliefs or thought patterns from an old one to a new one that would serve them better. And since then, I have evolved my digital marketing practice and I've written a couple books. And this year, I came out with an app. So, very excited to be sharing some new gifts with people that I think are all part of who I am. They just weren't part of that previous chapter. They're part of the new chapter.
Well, tell the listeners what a voracious imagination advocate is and what
All
they
right,
do.
so let's back it up. An advocate is somebody who says, "Hey, let's go do that. That's a good idea." An imagination, I think everybody knows what imagination is. It's your dreaming, it's your thinking, it's your putting together what things could be. It's the telling yourself new stories. That's imagination. And voracious means rah, going after something. So put all together, it means I am somebody who believes in going after your imagination and encouraging that in other people.
Okay, well, sounds like you have an amazing long career. So with all that you've been doing throughout your career, what is the thread that weaves throughout your career and ties everything together?
I think the real thread that goes throughout my career is that I am a very creative person. I like things that are beautiful. Like things that are new. I like to solve problems nobody's figured out before. And I'm also a rather persuasive person. When you are feeling down about things and you need somebody to maybe help you reevaluate or look at it another way or see if there's a way of reframing it so that you could think of something that maybe wasn't so helpful in the past, be able to see it in a new way. And that's a lot of what I get to do in my work with hypnotherapy. I like to say that I help people with their mindset their message, and their momentum.
Well, speaking of your hypnotherapy work, what kind of clients do you work with?
I work with a wide variety of clients. Some clients come to see me for phobias, afraid to go on airplanes, afraid of bumblebees, afraid of um, things they've been afraid of for years and years, maybe with no real understanding as to why. I help people with behavior patterns that are no longer serving them. I have a class I do several times a year called SOS, Stop Overeating Sugar. And I have other behavior patterns that I've been very effective at helping people change, getting to the gym, cutting back on alcohol, and little bad habits for people like picking fingernails or pulling hair or things that people do sort of obsessively or compulsively. I've been able to help most of those clients drop those patterns and makes their life a whole lot better. At the end of the day, we have a whole lot of control of things in our mind. And by learning how to access what is in your mind, what is in your subconscious, what are the things that you do without thinking, and figuring out if there are ways to change those things so that you can think a different thought is extremely effective. I help my clients both in an in-person office in the Bay Area in California, as well as online. I've realized that online help seems to work just as well as meeting people in person, which is pretty amazing. And I do most of my work with my clients one to one in a in a in a container just for the two of us. I also do recordings for people, and that's where my app genius appears.
Yeah, well, since you mentioned that, your app, go ahead and let the listeners know about the app and why you created it and what platforms it's available on, how they can download it.
Yeah. So my app is called Make My Hypno. And I realized that there was a great opportunity to help people by providing outstanding self-hypnosis recordings to them that would be easy to get and perfect for the individual. So while there's a lot of hypnotherapy and hypnosis recordings available out on the market, you can find them for free on YouTube and apps like Calm and Insight Timer. What there's not is ones that would make a recording just for a particular individual. And those are the ones that are much more effective. So let's say, Curtis, that you wanted to feel more self-confident. You might go to my app, which is technically a web app. You won't find it in the App Store. It's actually a regular URL. You just go there in your browser, makemyhypno.com, and you start creating your own form. You fill out this form, and in the matter of about 5 minutes, you get a great recording that is made with your name in it for confidence, because that's what you wanted. And it can be in any place that you imagine, and it can include personal details like, I want to be more confident when I'm pitching my podcast, or I want to be more confident when I'm at work. I'm getting such great feedback from my clients and purchasers on these recordings. Each recording is about 16 minutes long. When you purchase it, you own it for life. You own it forever. It gets emailed to you. It's an MP3 that's made just for you. And people are telling me that it's been helpful at getting them back to the gym. It's been helpful at getting them to stop overeating sugar. It's been helpful to put together a big presentation and feel confident about standing in front of the audience. It's just amazing how effective these little recordings can be for people. And all you have to do is go and order one from makemyhypno.com.
Let's take a quick break. Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Where you also are an AI advocate, so tell us what's new at the intersection of wellness and AI.
What's new at the intersection of wellness and AI is Make My Hypno. And I say that because Make My Hypno is able to make these custom recordings by using AI in a safe way to take what the user has requested and turn it all into my voice, which gets delivered in a matter of minutes. This app, this tool would not be available without the magic of AI. But here it is, and we're now in an era where you don't have to pay a hypnotherapist a fortune. You don't have to wait a few days for her to have time at her microphone. You can just say, I would like a recording that's going to make me sleep better, or improve my confidence, or help stop this terrible anxiety I have. My app has 19 different types of scripts that it makes right now, and I'm going to increase that a little bit over time. And people are, as I said, people are loving them in part because they're great and they are delivered so effectively and easily.
Well, let's talk about the different types of transformations that are possible when somebody chooses to do hypnosis.
People can transform in all kinds of ways. A good example of a client that I helped with a very big problem was a client who came to see me a few years ago. And this was a woman in her, maybe mid-30s. She told me that she had been afraid of bumblebees her entire life. She never remembered a day where she wasn't afraid of bumblebees. And through our work together, we determined by going back in session one-on-one with her that she had a hidden memory from her childhood. While she'd never been stung, she had this hiding memory that was able to be drawn out through a process of hypnotherapy, that she was in a garden in her vision, in her memory, with her mom, and there were flowers and roses and lavender plants and little bees flying around in the garden. And she was sitting on a bench there in the garden with her mom. And then her mom leaned over and told her that her big sister was upstairs in the hospital. They were in a hospital garden. And the big sister was having an operation on her kidney, and there was a chance that big sister was going to die. And what happened to this little girl sitting on the bench with her mother in the garden was she saw these bumblebees flying around, and she heard about this big sister who might die, who she really didn't want to die. And she crisscrossed the fear of the bumblebees with that big sister fear about dying. And when that happened, she had this subconscious association of those bumblebees that were getting in the way of her recovery. This was a woman who couldn't be outside. She would run from her car to my office. She couldn't be on a patio. She hated being outdoors at all because she was irrationally afraid that she was going to get stung by a bumblebee. After our work together, that fear lifted, and she was able to go outside, be on the patio, go with her boyfriend to the picnic. It completely changed her life because her fear of the outdoors went away. This is the kind of thing that can be resolved in hypnotherapy. Some people come to me with very clear problems or questions like these odd phobias. And some people come to me for other transitional times in their lives where they're looking for more support or they're particularly anxious about something. I had a client who came to see me a couple of months ago. She was an employee at a medical office. And when she'd been working at this medical office for several years. Several months ago, about a year ago, maybe, she took a leadership role at her office, and it didn't go so well. It was very hard for her to be a supervisor. The environment was wrong. She got a lot of um, mistreatment and bad information, and her period as a supervisor had not gone very smoothly. She was let go from her office for a few months for a disability to heal up from a surgery that she needed to have. And she was going back to her office, and she was, as you can imagine, a little nervous about how it was going to go. She was going back to the office not as the supervisor, but as a regular worker in the office. And she was unsure if she would have the right feelings and motivation and support and that kind of a thing to retransition to this office she'd been working at for a long time. Our work together helped her identify what were some of the things going on in the leadership that she could affect and what could she not affect, and how could she transform some of those sad moments in her life, and where did all of this stuff come from. She told me she is much happier. She's back at work now and has been through a couple of bumps, but things are going much, much better. And I'm delighted to know that I was the one who was able to help her reach into her subconscious and find these patterns and make the changes that she needed to have a successful re-entry to her office.
Well, does hypnosis work for everybody?
Almost. There are a few people that it doesn't work for. People who don't have a sense of imagination won't be successful at hypnosis. And believe it or not, there are people who have that. It's a mental disorder. I forget the name. And there's a small percentage of the population that does not do well with hypnosis. People sometimes mistakenly think, "Oh, I'm a scientist. I wouldn't be able to do that." No, that's not true. We don't really know why, but lots of scientists and engineers do just great with it. I've had clients who are physics PhDs and medical doctors who did great in hypnosis. There's just a few people who don't do as well, but if you see a professional hypnotherapist, they will be able to discern whether you are a good candidate for it or not. It's about 90% of the population that is open to hypnosis.
Well, you're also a writer, so talk to the listeners about your books. Let us know why you
Yeah,
decided to write them, where we could get them, and what
great.
we can expect when we read them.
I have two books. They're quite different. Both are available on Amazon. And if you look for me on Amazon, you go to Amazon and search for Michelle Walters, author, you'll find there's a couple, but you'll be able to distinguish me because of the titles of my books. The first book I wrote is called An Alignment of Spirit, Finding Work You Love. It is a book that helps people who want to do more positive thinking and more manifesting to make that happen. It's full of stories and science and supporting exercises to help people recognize how vital it is to get your mindset right and your magnetism right to be able to draw in whatever you're looking for, whether that's a new house or a new partner or a job. All of these things are more easily done as you read An Alignment of Spirit. My second book is called The ABCs of Conscious Leadership. The ABCs of Conscious Leadership I wrote because I know there are a lot of people out there who like leadership books, but some of them can be a little heavy and hard. And I didn't want a book like that. I wanted a book that was easy for people, that made embracing the value and importance of leadership really fun and approachable. So my book goes through the 26 letters of the alphabet, A through Z. And for each letter, I tell a personal story. I tell a story of a person whose name starts with that letter, who represents the quality that I'm talking about, the trait. And then I include a little personal affirmation. So A is for authenticity. And I tell a story about how I needed to change some of my own practices when I was teaching and leading groups that supported people in those changes, notably quitting sugar and drinking for a month. And then I tell the story of Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln was a very authentic guy, and he will help everyone remember that A is for authentic. And it goes like this through the entire book. So you can pick it up and read the book cover to cover. You can read one letter a day. You can really sort of approach this book in any way you want. Those are my two books.
Well, tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
My biggest project right now is working on getting the word out about Make My Hypno. I'm expanding Make My Hypno to make it available for other hypnotherapists. I'm going to look at making it available for small companies to license. I really, based upon the results of what people are telling me, they're seeing such great achievements with these little quick in your pocket recordings. I want to get the word out about it because, if you have a presentation this week and you're a little bit nervous, this is just the right thing to get a shot in the arm of confidence to do that. Or if you want to be able to sleep better at night, these recordings are, people are telling me that they are sleeping better as a result of their recordings. So I would encourage your listeners to go to makemyhypno.com and see if one of those 19 things on my list is something that they are feeling a little burdened or pressured by, and take home their own recording.
So is that your website, makemyhypno.com?
I have two websites. Makemyhypno.com is where you'll find the functionality to order your hypnosis script. And the more general information about me, like if you wanted to work with me one-on-one for hypnotherapy, if you had a question and you wanted to set up a call with me, if you wanted to learn more about my books or about my podcast, I also have a podcast. My podcast is called Mind Power Meets Mystic. I'm the Mind Power because I'm the hypnotherapist, and my co-host is a mystic. She's an intuitive healer. You can learn all about all of those things on my personal website, which is michellewalters.net. MICHELLEWALTERS.net.
Okay, well, while you're at it, go ahead and tell us a little more about that podcast, what we can expect when we listen, and where we can listen.
You can pick up the podcast on any major podcast player. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's all over. The videos are on my YouTube channel, which is called Mind Power Junkie. That's also my Insta handle. Mind Power Meets Mystic. We have guests on our show. We also have solo episodes by me, solo episodes by my partner. Sometimes we have duo episodes that's just the two of us. We talk about things that you can't always understand or are related to energetic healing or your higher self. This year, 2025, we've been having a lot of fun talking about the chakras. And we're going through each chakra 1, 2, 3, and so forth up the body, and talking about what its meaning is, and then talking to different people whose professions are related to that chakra. So we talked to a financial planner and a realtor for chakra 1 because it's about safety and security. And then we talk to people about creativity and positivity and femininity when we did chakra 2. And we're about halfway through the chakras now, and it's been a really fun series. So if folks are interested in more conversations about the supernatural, the unexplained, the energy systems within ourselves. Mind Power Meets Mystic is a great place to go to find it.
Have you interviewed a lady named Marilyn Mercado on chakras? Because I just interviewed her on my show not too long ago.
No, I'll have to look her up. Marilyn Mikado. Okay.
Yeah, look her up. She's an expert on chakras, and she can talk about all of them.
Wonderful. Yeah. Maybe we can include her in our, once we get to number 7. What's the wrap up?
Absolutely. Well, close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
I'm a big believer in doing what you can to look on the sunny side of things. And that doesn't mean that you aren't real, and it doesn't mean that you don't pay attention to what's the truth and what's going on. But how can you find ways to look at things as positively as possible? That's really what powers my work in hypnosis. It's what powers the books I've written. It's what powers my voice on the podcast. I say I'm a voracious imagination advocate, and that's true. But I'm also very much a believer in how to think positive and see your strengths and build on them. And I would encourage your listeners that whether you're having a good day or a bad one, notice your strengths. See if that's something you can lean into.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Make my hypno.com and michellewalters.net are the sites to visit. Follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. Check out everything Michelle's up to. Pick up her books. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, to leave a review or any suggestions you have for the show, please visit www.curveball337.com. Tell everybody about the site. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Michelle, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Curtis. It's been a great time.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.